She thought independence was her greatest strength until it made her the perfect target. The rain had been falling for hours, a steady rhythm against the glass walls of Clarissa Hartwell's apartment. She stood barefoot by the window, clutching a steaming cup of tea, watching the city drown in silver streaks of light. Nights like this used to comfort her, but lately they felt more like warnings, a reminder that storms could linger longer than anyone expected. Clarissa was 29, successful and self-made. She ran her own design firm, one she had built from scratch, without a penny of her family's fortune. People often wondered why she refused to lean on the Hartwell empire, a business dynasty with more power than most politicians. The truth was simple: her family's money came with chains, and Clarissa had sworn never to wear them. Her phone buzzed on the marble counter, pulling her from her thoughts. A message glowed across the screen. Family dinner tomorrow. No excuses.
Dominic.
Her older brother's words carried no warmth, only authority. Dominic Hartwell, the heir apparent to their father's empire, had perfected the art of control. For him, family dinners were not about bonding but about reminding Clarissa where she stood, or rather, where he thought she should stand. Clarissa exhaled slowly, tension rising in her chest. She already knew what awaited her at that dinner. Veiled criticisms, lectures about wasted potential, and carefully hidden motives. It wasn't the meal she dreaded. It was the performance. But what unsettled her most was the timing. Dominic never summoned her without reason. Something was coming. She tightened her grip around the teacup. This time, she promised herself, she would not let them corner her. Not again. The Hartwell mansion was as imposing as ever, its towering stone facade lit by rows of golden lanterns, casting shadows across the perfectly manicured gardens. To outsiders, it was the symbol of wealth and prestige. To Clarissa, it was a gilded cage. She parked her car at the far end of the driveway, as though keeping physical distance might soften the emotional one. The heavy oak doors opened before she reached them, and a butler she had known since childhood bowed stiffly. "Miss Hartwell, your father and brother are waiting in the dining room." Waiting, not welcoming. Clarissa walked down the long corridor, her heels clicking against marble that seemed to echo every step. Family portraits lined the walls, smiling faces frozen in time, painted to look like unity. Yet beneath those glossy eyes were decades of betrayal, competition, and power games. The dining table stretched nearly the length of the room, set with glittering crystal and polished silver. At the far end sat her father, Richard Hartwell, stern and unreadable, his presence commanding even in silence. Dominic sat beside him, wine glass in hand, exuding arrogance wrapped in charm. "Clarissa," Richard said, his voice heavy with expectation. "It's been too long." She forced a polite smile. "Work has kept me busy." Dominic smirked. "Work, or avoiding us?" The jab was casual, but it struck deep. Clarissa ignored it, taking her seat opposite them. The table felt like a battlefield, every place setting another weapon. Dinner began with practiced pleasantries, but soon the conversation shifted, as she knew it would. "Clarissa," her father began, folding his hands, "you're talented, no one denies that. But talent should be used wisely. Our family legacy is waiting. Your brother can't run everything alone." Her stomach tightened. "I told you before, I'm not interested in the company." Dominic leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Not interested, or too afraid of responsibility. You're wasting potential chasing small projects when you could be shaping the future of Hartwell Enterprises." The words cut sharper than intended. Clarissa straightened, her voice steady. "What you call small projects have changed lives. I'm building something that's mine, not just inheriting something built on control and manipulation." For a heartbeat, silence fell. The only sound was the faint clink of Richard setting down his fork. Dominic's smirk vanished, replaced by something darker. "You think independence makes you stronger, Clarissa. But out there, you're vulnerable. The world doesn't care about your pride. We're the only ones who can protect you." Clarissa met his gaze, without flinching. "Or control me." Her father's expression hardened, and she knew she had crossed a line. The battle had begun. The silence at the table stretched thin, heavy enough to choke on. Clarissa steadied herself, refusing to look away from either man. Her father finally broke the stillness. "You've always been stubborn," Richard said, his tone cold but laced with something else. Weariness, perhaps. "But this time, your independence puts the family at risk." Clarissa frowned. "At risk? How exactly does my running my own business threaten Hartwell Enterprises?" Dominic leaned back in his chair, swirling his wine as though savoring the drama. "Because our rivals don't just see you as a woman running a boutique firm. They see you as a Hartwell. Whether you like it or not, you carry the family name, and that makes you a target." Her pulse quickened. A target for what? Richard's jaw tightened. He glanced briefly at Dominic before answering. "There have been moves against the company. Partnerships shifting, whispers of sabotage. Your independence makes you vulnerable. If something happens to you, it weakens us." Clarissa studied their faces, searching for truth. It sounded less like concern for her safety and more like concern for their empire. "So that's what this is about," she said, her voice low. "Control me, pull me back into your world, and keep me where you can use me. Not because you care about me, but because you care about optics." Dominic set down his glass with a sharp clink. "You think this is a game? There are people out there who would gladly use you to get to us. One wrong step, one betrayal from someone you trust, and you'll realize too late that independence is just another word for isolation." Her chest tightened. Betrayal. The word struck too close, like a shadow she couldn't quite see, but felt creeping near. She forced herself to stay calm. "If you're so worried, hire security. But don't dress up your need for control as protection." Her father's hand slammed against the table, the sound echoing through the cavernous room. "Enough, Clarissa. You will listen. There are forces moving against this family that you don't understand. If you won't stand with us, you'll be left exposed, and when the storm comes, don't expect us to shield you." Clarissa's breath caught, a chill running down her spine. It wasn't just manipulation in his voice. It was a warning. Something was coming. Something bigger than family power games. And whether she wanted to or not, Clarissa was already caught in its center. The echo of her father's words still rang in the dining room when the butler rushed in, his face pale. "Sir, there's been a breach at the East Gate." Richard's head snapped up. "What do you mean by a breach?" The butler swallowed hard. "Security cameras caught 2 men, armed men. They disappeared into the woods behind the property before guards could intercept." Clarissa's pulse raced. The mansion had been a fortress all her life. For intruders to get this close, it wasn't random. Dominic's smirk had vanished, replaced by sharp focus. He exchanged a glance with their father, something unspoken passing between them. "It's starting," he muttered. Clarissa stood abruptly. "What's starting? What the hell is going on?" Her father rose too, his face grim. "This is what we've been warning you about. Someone out there wants to dismantle this family. And you, Clarissa, you are the easiest piece to move on the board." Her chest tightened. "I didn't ask to be part of your game." Dominic's voice hardened, low but urgent. "That doesn't matter. You're already a target. And if you don't come under our protection, whoever is behind this will come after you first." The chandelier above them flickered, plunging the room into brief darkness before the backup lights kicked in. A distant bang echoed from outside, like a gunshot. Clarissa's breath caught. Fear gripped her, raw and real. Richard grabbed her arm, his grip like iron. "Do you understand now? This isn't about control. It's about survival." For the first time, Clarissa couldn't tell if her father was manipulating her or saving her. The lines blurred, and in that moment, she realized her independence wasn't just under pressure. It was under attack. The night air outside the mansion was heavy, laced with the sharp scent of wet earth. Clarissa stood at the window of her old bedroom, locked away for safety, or so they told her. Guards moved like shadows across the property, radios crackling with clipped commands. Her reflection in the glass was pale, her eyes wide but steady. Hours ago, she had been sipping tea in the quiet of her apartment, certain of her independence. Now, she was a prisoner in the name of protection. Her phone buzzed on the dresser. She lunged for it, hoping for a distraction. A message. Unknown number. You're not safe with them. Meet me at midnight. The fountain. Come alone. Her pulse thundered. No name. No context. But the timing was too precise to be a coincidence. She hesitated, her thumb hovering. Was this a trap? Or was the truth that her father and Dominic weren't telling her? A knock rattled her door. Dominic's voice carried through, calm but firm. Don't try anything reckless, Clarissa. Whoever is out there knows how to play the long game. Trust us. Trust us. The words felt like poison. She waited until his footsteps faded down the hall. Then, almost without thinking, she slid on her coat, slipped the phone into her pocket, and eased the window open. The night swallowed her as she climbed down the ivy trellis, her heart pounding with every move. By the time she reached the fountain at the edge of the garden, the mansion lights seemed far away. A figure stood in the shadows, tall, broad-shouldered, his face hidden beneath the brim of a hood. Clarissa froze. Who are you? The figure stepped closer, his voice low, steady, and devastatingly familiar. Someone who knows the truth your family will never tell you. The world tilted. She recognized that voice instantly. Ethan Cole. Her ex-lover. The man her family had destroyed years ago. Clarissa's breath caught in her throat. Ethan Cole. The man she had loved and lost because of the very people now claiming to protect her. Memories surged back like a flood, stolen kisses in quiet corners, whispered promises of a future, and the crushing night her father had torn them apart with a single decree. He's not worthy of you. And now, here he was, standing in the shadows of the Hartwell estate, alive, dangerous, and impossibly close. What are you doing here? She whispered, her voice trembling despite her effort to stay composed. His eyes, sharp and burning even beneath the hood, locked onto hers. Saving you. She shook her head, confusion warring with anger. From what? My family? Or from you? Ethan stepped closer, his presence unsettling and intoxicating all at once. From the storm your family pretends they can control. Clarissa, the attacks aren't random. They're orchestrated. And if you don't know who's behind it, you'll be the one they destroy first. Her chest tightened. You expect me to believe you? After everything? He hesitated, his jaw tightening, then pulled something from his coat, a file, thick and worn, filled with photographs and documents. He held it out. Because this time, I have proof. Clarissa's hand trembled as she took it. The first page made her stomach drop, a grainy photo of Dominic in a dark alley, shaking hands with a man she recognized from business tabloids. A rival executive. One her father had accused her of sabotage. Her heart pounded. This can't be real. It's very real, Ethan said, his voice low but urgent. Dominic isn't protecting you, Clarissa. He's selling you out. And your father either doesn't know, or doesn't care. The ground beneath her seemed to vanish. Her family's warnings, their demands for control, Dominic's cryptic words about betrayal, everything twisted into a darker truth. She looked up at Ethan, her eyes burning. Why should I trust you? For all I know, you could be playing your own game. For a moment, his expression softened, the steel in his eyes melting into something raw. Because, despite everything, I never stopped loving you. And I would rather die than see them break you again. The words hit her harder than the revelations. Her heart warred with her mind, between the man who had once held her soul and the family who had caged it. But in the distance, a sudden crack split the night. Another gunshot. This one is closer. Ethan grabbed her hand. You have to choose, Clarissa.
Right now.
Them or me. The echo of the gunshot seemed to shatter the night itself. Clarissa's pulse roared in her ears as she clutched the file to her chest, Ethan's hand gripping hers with desperate urgency. Clarissa, a voice bellowed from the mansion grounds, Dominic's. Floodlights cut across the gardens, sweeping dangerously close. Ethan pulled her toward the trees. We have to move.
Now.
She hesitated, torn between instinct and fear. If she ran with Ethan, she was betraying her family. If she stayed, she risked walking straight into Dominic's trap. Her heart thundered as another gunshot cracked, closer this time, splintering the fountain's stone edge. Shards of marble flew, stinging her cheek. That decided it. She bolted with Ethan, the two of them plunging into the cover of the woods. Branches clawed at her coat as adrenaline surged through her veins. The Hartwell estate's alarms wailed behind them, the sound of boots pounding against gravel growing louder. "Keep running," Ethan urged, guiding her through the shadows like he knew every inch of the terrain. Clarissa's breath burned to her lungs, but the fear driving her was stronger than exhaustion. For the first time in years, she wasn't running from her family, she was running for her life. They stumbled into a clearing, the mansion lights now distant through the trees. Ethan stopped, pulling her against a thick oak for cover. His chest heaved as he scanned the darkness. "They'll hunt you now," he said, voice rough but steady. "Dominic won't let you walk away with the truth." Clarissa clutched the file tighter, her mind reeling. The proof inside could destroy everything: her brother, her father's empire, the Hartwell name itself. But it also tied her fate to Ethan's. Her voice was a whisper, raw and trembling. "What happens if I choose you?" Ethan's gaze locked on hers, intense and unyielding. "Then we fight together. And this time, Clarissa, you win." Before she could answer, a beam of light slashed across the clearing. Voices shouted. Footsteps closed in. The hunt had begun. The clearing erupted with chaos. Flashlights cut through the trees, voices shouted commands, and the heavy thud of boots closed in on them. Clarissa's pulse hammered, her back pressed to the oak as Ethan pulled her close. "They've boxed us in," she whispered. "Not yet." Ethan's hand tightened around hers. "Follow my lead. And whatever happens, don't let Dominic take that file." The lights converged, and Dominic himself emerged from the shadows, flanked by armed men in black. His smirk returned, sharper than a blade. "Well, sister," he drawled, "you never could resist sneaking off, could you? And of course, you'd run back to him." His eyes flicked to Ethan with venom. The traitor. Clarissa stepped forward, holding the file tight against her chest. Her voice shook but carried across the clearing. "You set me up, Dominic. All that talk about protection, it was a lie. You're working with the very people who want to destroy this family." Dominic's smile widened. "Oh, Clarissa. Always the idealist. Do you really think I care about preserving Father's empire? Hartwell Enterprises is a rotting carcass. I'm just making sure I get the best cut before the vultures take the rest." Her stomach turned. "You're betraying your own blood." "Blood?" Dominic scoffed. "Blood is a leash, nothing more. You are smart to run from it, but not smart enough to see the bigger game." His hand extended, mockingly calm. "Now, give me the file, or you'll both regret it." The guards stepped closer, weapons raised. Clarissa's mind raced. She could hand over the file and end this, but it would mean surrendering to Dominic's corruption. Or she could trust Ethan, gamble on love and loyalty she once believed in, and risk everything. Her heart chose before her head did. "No," her voice rang out. "Steady now. I won't let you win." Dominic's smile faltered, rage flashing in his eyes. "Then you've chosen death." But before he could signal the guards, Ethan lunged, disarming the nearest man with brutal efficiency. Chaos exploded, shouts, gunfire, the crack of branches underfoot. Clarissa ducked behind the oak, clutching the file, adrenaline flooding her veins. She saw Dominic reaching for her through the fray, his face twisted with fury. "Clarissa," he roared. "You don't understand what you're doing." But she did. For the first time, she understood perfectly. Snatching a fallen guard's weapon, she aimed, not at Dominic, but at the air. One sharp shot. The sound cracked across the clearing, freezing everyone for a split second. Clarissa's voice cut through the silence. "This ends now. If you want the file, you'll have to kill me for it. And if you do, the world will still see the truth. Because I made copies." Dominic's face drained of color. "You wouldn't." "I already did." The moment broke him. His mask of control shattered, and for the first time, Dominic looked small, cornered, powerless. He cursed, signaling the guards to retreat. "This isn't over, Clarissa," he spat, disappearing into the night with his men. The clearing fell silent, broken only by Clarissa's ragged breaths. Ethan approached, his chest heaving, his face streaked with dirt and sweat. "You played that perfectly," he said softly, pride glinting in his eyes. Her hands shook as she lowered the weapon. "I didn't know if it would work." "It worked," he said, reaching for her hand. "Because you finally saw who you are." Tears burned her eyes, but this time they were not from fear. "And who am I, Ethan?" He stepped closer, his voice low, steady. "Not a pawn in their game. Not a prisoner of your name. You're Clarissa Hartwell, the woman who chose her own fate." For a long moment, the world held still around them. The storm had passed, but the air was charged with something new, something fragile, powerful, and real. Clarissa exhaled, her grip on the file loosening. "Then let's make sure the world knows the truth." Ethan's hand closed around hers. Together. And as the first light of dawn broke through the trees, Clarissa realized that for the first time in years, she wasn't running anymore. She was free.